The footprints led to my front door, but there were none leading away. Here is how that night started. I live alone. Wednesday night, in bed by 11, asleep by 11:15. 3:04 a.m., my cell phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Nothing. Line was open, but nobody spoke. I hung up. 3 minutes later, my landline rang. Nobody calls my landline. Almost nobody has that number. I lay there listening to it ring 6 times before it stopped. Then, my doorbell rang. 3:09 a.m. I walked to the front door and looked through the peephole. Empty hallway. I stood there for 30 seconds watching. Nothing moved. Then, I did something I still cannot fully explain. I opened the door. The hallway was empty in both directions. I looked down.
Footprints on the floor. Dusty ones, the kind you leave when you have walked somewhere dry and stepped onto a cleaner surface. They came from the stairwell. They led directly to my door. And they stopped there. No prints going back. Not toward the stairwell, not toward the elevator, not anywhere. The prints came to my door and ended, as if whoever made them had not walked away, as if they were still there, on the other side of the door I had just opened. I called the police immediately. They searched the building, every floor, the stairwells, the roof. They found nobody. They had no explanation for the footprints. One officer stood at my door and looked at the prints for a long time without saying anything. Then he looked at me and said he would file a report. That was all.
I moved out of that apartment 4 months later. New building, new neighborhood, new locks on everything. But I still check the hallway every morning before I step outside. Every single morning. Because I never found out who made those prints. And I never found out where they went. If that story got under your skin, hit the like button. It helps more than you know. Have you ever come home to something that did not feel right? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Story 2 is next, and this one took weeks before he understood what was happening. I do not smoke. Nobody in my life smokes. My building had a strict no smoking policy. So when I smelled cigarette smoke in my apartment 3 nights in a row, I started paying attention. Tuesday, 10 p.m., living room. A faint whiff, gone after 30 seconds. Wednesday, same time, same room, lasted longer. Thursday, I got up the moment I smelled it and moved through the apartment tracking it. Kitchen, nothing. Bathroom, nothing. Bedroom, slightly stronger. Hallway closet, I stopped. The smell was coming from inside the closet. I opened the door. Jackets, boxes on the shelf, normal. Then I saw it, on the floor in the back corner. An ashtray I had never seen before. Glass, and in it, 1 cigarette butt, smoked almost to the filter. I crouched down and held my hand near it. Still warm. Someone had been standing in my closet, smoking in the dark, while I sat in the living room 10 feet away watching television. I left immediately, did not grab anything, keys and phone, stood in the parking lot and called 911. Police searched the apartment. Nobody inside, but they confirmed the ashtray, dusted it for prints, found several that were not mine. The detective told me the building had no record of anyone else having a key to my unit. Then he told me something that I have not stopped thinking about since. He said the dust pattern around the ashtray suggested it had not been placed there once. It had been used multiple times. I had been living in that apartment for 8 months. 8 months of Thursday nights watching television while someone stood in my closet in the dark. I was out of that apartment within 2 weeks. If you thought that was disturbing, the final story starts with something so small you would walk right past it. A key. Just one extra key. But what it meant took everything apart. Hit the like and let's finish this. Monday morning, I went to grab my keys from the hook by the door. There were 4. I own 3 keys. Front door, car, mailbox. Same keychain for 2 years. I know exactly what is on it. I picked up the 4th key. Plain silver ring, no markings. I tried it in my front door. It went in. It turned. The door opened. I was holding a key to my own house that I had never seen before and did not own. I called a locksmith. He came that afternoon, turned the key over in his hands for 30 seconds, and told me it was a duplicate, made from a mold rather than directly from the original. He said the cuts were slightly imprecise, functional but not exact, the way they look when copied from wax. He said a wax mold could be made in under 30 seconds if you had access to the original. I keep my keys on that hook every night. I called the police. They took the key as evidence and dusted the area around my door. They found fingerprints near the keyhole. On the inside of the door, someone had been in my house, had taken my key while I slept, pressed it into wax, put it back before I woke up, and then, with the copy they had made, had come back. The detective asked about my schedule. Same coffee every morning, same route to work, gym 3 nights a week, same Friday takeout. He looked at me and said, anyone watching you for a week or 2 would know exactly when your house was empty. I had never thought of my routine as a vulnerability. I do not have a routine anymore. I change everything deliberately every single day. Because somewhere out there is a person who spent weeks learning exactly how I lived. And I still have no idea what they were planning to do with that information. Check your keys tonight. Subscribe. New true horror stories every week. Drop your story below. Stay safe.